Churn's real, isn't it? Every day in more businesses, we're losing time. Hours are being lost to churn. All right, lads and lasses, welcome along. It's Tuesday. I want to do something a little bit different today, right? Purely because this is a real big topic. We're at the start of a year, and now there's going to be loads of you out there who are doing this. So I thought, let's have a quick look at the churn, right? And churn is a really big topic. How many of you get an Excel spreadsheet daily, weekly, monthly, right? And then you take that Excel spreadsheet and you copy it somewhere, and then you copy and paste and follow a load of steps on a checklist to then produce something that you have to drag and drop and copy and paste and email off to your management. Yeah, does that sound familiar? For me, this was the challenge. I used to spend, it was 2 to 3 days a week even doing churn. If it sounds familiar, right, then let's start your journey. In terms of you, it'll be very similar, and we'll do some generic steps in here, right? But this is kind of where the churn changes. Step 1, yeah, open Excel. In Excel, under the data tab, you'll find that you've got PowerQuery now. Right? This is part of the O365 suite. So as long as your business is using O365, you will have it. We began to get data, right? And then from a file and pick me folder, right? This is where the world starts to change. So in here, where I've got my folder, all I need to do is type my folder path in, right? So I've put this in on my J drive in Excel, right? It might be a folder you've got to put in, something like that, right? But once that loads, you hit transform data, and it'll pull it through into here. And most of you are going, well, that's great. I've got a list of files in a folder. You haven't done me any favors. Now, if I needed just one of those files, I can use like the date created, modified, something like that to really help do it. So I can even use under my date filters the latest. If I need the latest file only. Yeah, I've got a place. I'm putting all my copies into it. I just want the latest one. For the sake of this demo, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine all of them. Okay, because hey, if we can get one, why don't we just get them all in, right? And I'll show you some little other tips and tricks we can do, right? So a nice thing to do, how about we sort this, right, by date created. Now, unfortunately, you can see they're all got the same date created, but we can do it by, say, date modified. For my demo, you might do it by date created, but I'm going to do it by date modified, right? And I'm going to sort it descending, which means the latest one is at the top and then the bottom, and then all the way through to the bottom, okay? And then if I add a column here, right, and add an index column, right, I'm going to pick now it's starting at 1, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what that means is I now have a column which is going to be picking the latest version only. Because if that's where you need it to do, this way works really well for you. It's a nice, quick and easy, hey, I can do this, and it works really well. I've now got my core areas that I need. So if I pick just these 2 columns, so I've held down the control key and I've picked the second one, and I choose to right click and remove the other columns, I've now got my index and my content. Let's expand that out by clicking on the line with the arrows down. Right, okay. Right. And now what what Power Query has done within Excel is it's taken those multiple spreadsheets and put them all together into one table. What it's also done, so one thing I've got to do is I've got to go through and I've got to set data types for each of my columns, right? That's something you've just got to do. The big one that you have problems with is dates, right? Invariably, I find dates, we get problems with these. So if I was to change this, I want this to be dates, you'll see I've got errors, right? And it's a date formatting thing. And it's just struggling to pick between which format should I use, please. So to fix me dates, right, what you need to do is to standardize them, right? And the best way to do it is to do it this way, right? If you right click on the column and you choose split column by delimit, see by default, it'll come up and it'll say split by slash, hit OK. And I've now got 3 columns. What I need to do is change the type to text. Okay. Right? You just need to change, there's reasons in them. The Power Query is really specific about the values. You go back through, set them all to text, add a column, and I'm going to add a custom column. Yeah. Right. I'm going to call this order date. Right. And we've put in the value, we've hit OK. We've now got a column that we can then pick, and we can, from there, we can make this. Okay. It's just about standardization of the. But I've now got me dates. I've got me columns built. Everything's good to go. If I'm happy and I'm ready for this, the last step is to say, I want to load and close and load to, right? And then you get a little, right? Default of table is sensible, right? Use table. The other option you do, and especially if you're getting to your next step on from this, you want to tick to add it to your data model. But for now, we're just going to leave it as a table. I'm going to hit OK. And what you'll see is I've now got my spreadsheet. All my spreadsheets are now in here. I can go and see from the index, got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 spreadsheets, I've got 4 in the index. And from there, if I can summarize it as a pivot table on a new sheet, if we pull in the index, and let's say pull in the total profit, we can see my profit per index. Right? And you're saying, well, that's fine. But what happens then next week when I've got my next one? I didn't want to have to be doing all this all the time. If I go back to my Excel, and let's take one of these out. Let's take this one out. Okay, so I've removed one of the files from my Excel, or sorry, from my folder. And you're saying, well, I've got to, I've now got my sheet. What do I need to do? Under your data tab, you've got refresh all, right? Run refresh all and let it run. And then you need to remember to run it twice, right? This is an issue with the way the first step over into it, right? And you'll find it's now done it and shows you that we've only got 3 files. So suddenly we've only got 3. Right? Having 3 is proof, isn't it, that it's going to keep doing different things, or it's going to keep up to date with what I need. Right? The nice thing with this is as you add things, if you get your index right, potentially I can have my pivot table, couldn't I? And I can have it all set up, and I can have my index up there, and I can have that default set. So what do you reckon then, Churn and how to remove it. It's incredible how you can see the power of doing this and how quickly and easily you can get this set up. And generally, I find from my experience, doing the first one can be a real I didn't understand, right? Thing to go through. But once you've got your first spreadsheet transformed this way, it's transcendent, and you'll start to just do it more and more. And before you realize it, your monthly, weekly, daily churn has become opening the spreadsheet, hitting refresh, off you go. Even if you have to load up SQL Management Studio, connect up, run a copy and paste a SQL query in, run that, blah, 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 right? You can do all that, right? And then just save the resulting file somewhere and then have Power BI, or in this case, PowerQuery, where you start with, go open that folder, pull all the Excel spreadsheets in and do stuff with it. And then when you get that call from a manager, that invariably you do, what's up with that? Right? You've got everything at your fingertips, especially if you've got this index in place. It's there, it's ready. So what do you reckon, right? If you like this, why don't you consider going over to our Patreon page, right? I'm going to be starting a super user community with this, right? We're going to be putting a price up there for the super user community. I'm expecting it to be around £5 a month for it. But what you'll get for that is access to the weekly super user community calls that we'll do, and actually try and engage and help you to work through your issues and your problems and everything that you've got going as you move your business and yourself into more of a Power BI mindset and mentality. But don't worry if you're saying, well, I don't use Power BI now. I kind of would like to, but I don't know how. Right? Get into the super user community, right? Follow our channel. It'll all help you. So take care of yourselves. We'll be back on Friday. Ta-ra.